here from Belgrano to base here in Antarctica, which, if you didn't know, is the location of the Club NV super secret hideaway house. Oh, I'm being informed I was not supposed to reveal that. Oh well. Here we are today with number 8 of our series of show matches, let's call them show matches, here in the Club NVX Duckling Showdowns, where we like to feature players from Club NV, players who used to be part of Club NV. Basically, like to show off players from the NV family to you, the dear viewers, to give them a little bit of support. Here I am, your host, Yaku of Dizaku, and with me today is El que escuchas cuando tienes necesidad de cervezas. Light _ VIP. How are we doing, Light?
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás, papi? Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you've all been having a great time. As you mentioned, we have returned with the Duckling Showdown. We took a couple of weeks off, because of GSL, because of other events that were happening. But now we're back with our Showdown, with our Showmatch Series, with the best of 7 PvP.
Indeed. Very exciting one, but we'll get into that after the intros. Here we are, kicking things off on Golden Aura in the bottom right-hand corner map. Starting all the way in the bottom right, we have our red Protoss player from the land of South Korea. Representing Club NV, we have Creator.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless, deserving to be on the team. It is Nightmare.
And oh boy, I'm honestly kind of surprised that we're having this matchup specifically so soon. Like, it's pretty much going to be a bit of a rematch from GSL about 2 weeks ago, where they both faced off each other. It's also a match which I have some expectations of how this is going to go down. Now, I love Creator to death. I will always cheer for Creator, but Nightmare, even though he has been becoming a much more well-rounded player throughout these past couple months, I will always remember him as the premier PvP sniper.
100%. Nightmare, he has been looking so good in the PvP matchup. We've seen him take down every Protoss in South Korea, whether it's players like Classic, Hero, even Creator as well. They've all fallen to Nightmare in recent times. That's the scary thing. I know that you've been saying that Nightmare, he, was known in the past as a sniper. Even nowadays, I would say that PvP is Nightmare's best matchup. It's terrifying. Arguably the best PvP in South Korea. Arguably. But it's really damn good. It's really damn scary as well. So I'm excited, like you are, to see these two face off, because we see them go back and forth. We've seen Creator and Nightmare trade maps and trade series, and I imagine we're going to be doing it again here.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to be seeing it in a best of 7 format as well. I think a lot of times when these two players do face off each other, it's in an online cup or it's in the group stages of a tournament, they only really face each other in best of 3s, sometimes best of 5s. So, maybe in a little bit of a longer series, we might see Nightmare be even more horrific, or we might see Creator figure out a bit of a solution to this PvP killer in front of him.
Exactly. That's kind of what we're really looking for right now. I might want to give a slight edge to Nightmare, maybe, but as you were saying, it's hard to kind of bet against Creator in this situation. So regardless, I'm here for some amazing games and some amazing plays. For the time being, we have pretty standard openers. We have a very safe follow-up here out of Creator. Basically, Nightmare made extra Stalkers, so he does have a Stalker lead, but Creator, he has sentries. He has Force Fields, he has a Guardian Shield, and he has Scouting.
He's getting ready for the next patch.
Yeah. He knows, Bobby.
When sentries do extra damage to shields, yeah.
Exactly. That's going to be an amazing time for Protoss players in the upcoming patch. For those who do not know, the sentry is going to be adjusted in the new patch. Despite that, it's still a good way and a very safe way to open up, even in the current patch, as we can see. And things are kind of settling down. I know PvP in Korea can be very chaotic. That's very true. But for now, in Game 1, we're kind of easing into it.
Yeah, surprisingly, but again, we got a long series ahead of us. Got a little bit of a longer night. We did delay the start a little bit just for availability. So
Mhm.
yeah, this is might as well just slowly ease in instead of just jumping headfirst into the chaos.
Oh, exactly. And the chaos, I'm sure, is going to be upon us at some point in this series. For now, we're both just scouting each other. You can see hallucination scouts coming in from Nightmare. Likewise, we saw the same thing coming in from Creator as well. We do confirm that Twilight Council's on the way. Blink is on the way. Creator is the first to expand and take a third base. Nightmare has yet to do so. Now, he has seen the third of his opponent. He's fully aware of that. It's going to be on him to throw down his own or double down on additional gateways. We can see that he's just going to be meeting Creator's third with his own.
Okay, we were talking about easing our way into the series, but this is a little bit too relaxed for Nightmare, or for PvP, I would say. Or maybe I'm just way too used to NA, where the player who expands first in the PvP, that's the player that immediately gets punished.
Yeah, I mean, we see that amongst the Koreans as well, right? You throw Classic in the mix, you throw Hero in the mix, they're both very aggressive players. But Creator is very different, and I feel like Nightmare vibes off of his opponent. Creator, I've always kind of considered him to be very Showtime-esque in a lot of different matchups, in PvP, PvT, and PvZ. Not saying that they play the same builds, but they have like a similar mantra, where Creator, he thrives in the mid to late game. He likes to take it a little bit slower here, and Nightmare tries to adapt to whoever he's playing against. So as a result, when both of them are facing off, again, we're just easing our way in, and literally no aggression at all so far.
I never really thought about that, but I think it is pretty true. Creator not usually one to go for proxies too often, but also not one to really enjoy staying into the late game, not really one to really get into fleet beacons and whatnot. And similar thing can be said for Showtime, although Showtime, every now and then he does like to dip into late game more often than Creator, I would say. But even still, both players very mid game focused. They really like defending until they can hit strong timings.
Yeah, Showtime is more of an extreme version of that, but like I feel like Creator's the closest that we can get to Showtime in Korea. It just goes to show how aggressive in general Korean Protosses are. If Creator is the closest we can get to him. For now, we just see a little bit of a skirmish going on here in the center of the map. We're getting into additional gateways, charges on the way, Immortals are amassing as well. Again, it's just a skirmish between the players, just kind of testing each other. Ooh, it looks like we're going for the Observer and do pick it off.
Nice little pick off here for Creator. It's always good for utility. It's always good to deny your opponent some extra vision like this, but usually when I see an observer battle like that, my immediate thought is DTs would be so good right now.
Oh yeah, 100%. And DTs are terrifying in this matchup because you don't have to rush into them. I mean, you can, and you can sometimes win the game there, but even in the mid to late game, like DT harassment can be quite effective in PvP. Even if you have a cannon, even if you have some side defense, if you have enough DTs, you can still power through them, you can still get a lot of damage done. So Nightmare has to respect it. He rebuilds that observer. That does eat up robo production time, bear that in mind. And the biggest difference right now when it comes to the main armies, a gateway centric army here by Nightmare, classic. It's also gateways, but he does have that immortal lead.
Indeed, he does. He's got an immortal lead. He's also, I believe, the first player to tech into, the first player to tech into Templar Archive. So Archons are definitely a possibility as the first round of High Templar do get warped in. This is, as you were saying, just kind of a classic composition in PvP. Stalkers, Zealots, and Archons versus Stalkers, Zealots, and Archons. So if you find the correct ratio, a couple of Immortals can definitely swing things in your favor, but not if you lose a couple of your Stalkers unnecessarily before the fight even begins here, as Creator has.
Yeah, Creator has to be very careful because he does have the Stalker deficit, right? Nightmare, he's almost got a purely Stalker army. Creator, as you were pointing out, it's very diverse, right? We have Stalkers, we have Zealots, we have Immortals, we have Archons, we have a bit of everything. And I want to give the edge to Creator if he maxes out, but before that happens, Nightmare is trying to catch out these Stalkers.
Yeah, and he's getting a couple of good pickoffs, but here come the chargelets of Creator to really chase them all the way back home. The one Archon of Creator also providing a little bit of a deterrent for Nightmare to charge in with too many Zealots. Creator's gonna hold this.
Oh, yeah, he is going to be able to hold on so far. The Immortals are coming into play as well. They do so much DPS to these Stalkers, chunking away at so many of them. And Creator, he might be able to push on through from here. But behind this, we can see he's still just saturating his bases, still just trying to get his fourth base and running. It looks like really Creator, he's vying for map control, but I don't think he really intends to keep on pushing.
Very Mauer-esque.
Yeah.
He's got the opportunity to pounce, but he decides, you know what, I'm just going to saturate my bases, I'm just going to macro, get my 4-base economy up and running, and make sure I have all my production in line or where they need to be.
Yeah, and to be fair, right, like Creator, he didn't lose any Immortals, he didn't lose any Archons, right? Like he only bled out cheap gateway units, so he retains his high-tech army, and now it reinforces. And now he's moving out, more importantly, with the War Prism, so we can reinforce on the front lines.
That he can. He's already got more Archons on the way. We're seeing a fairly zealot, still a very stalker-centric army from Nightmares, now starting to get a couple of zealots for harass more than anything else right now. Creator finds an opening, and he's jumping straight in.
And that's scary, right? Oh, so much supply, so many zealots are across the map. They're not at home to defend, by the way. And here we go, Creator does force his way in, focuses down the shield battery. Boys are being pulled.
And boys are being killed as they get pulled. Immortals making short work of these Stalkers. Zealots now being forced to recall back on home, and they recall right on top of 3 Archons, which just melt through them.
Yeah, exactly. That was a brutal recall to make there. And again, the Archons, they just tore through them, as you said. We have a couple of Stalkers left, a couple of Zealots left. We do get a surround. We get 1 Archon kill, but there's still so much left over. We still have those Immortals, we still have those Archons. The base has fallen, and we get 23 probes.
Creator has stopped probe production a little while ago. He is 100% all in right now. He knows he can end it, and he's looking to end it.
Exactly. Creator, he didn't take additional gases, right? He stayed on a lower gas count. He didn't even fully saturate his 4th base here either. So, as you mentioned, he was very committed with this push. What's scary is that Nightmare actually has a comparable worker count, but this northern base is so exposed, and Creator, he sees it. He's going right for it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, ooh, I like this. Doesn't overcommit too much. Oh, unfortunate lack of... Unfortunately, a little too late to react there for Creator. I was gonna say, I like that he kept a couple of units to protect that War Prism, but Nightmare still able to snipe it, still able to find that little gap.
Yeah, right. Really good control here at a Nightmare to pick up whatever he can. He's trying to come in for a bit of a flank as well to collapse on these Immortals, and he does focus one of them down. There's 1 Immortal left, and it is going to get targeted, so good pickups here at a Nightmare, but it's also a numbers game in Nightmare. He's running out of units.
GG is called. Creator gonna be taking game number 1 of this best of 7 show match.
GG, well played. And Creator, slow and steady, sometimes does win the race here, and with that, Creator takes game 1.
Just like so. I feel like that was the game that really exemplifies Creator style really more than most other games I've seen from him lately. That I'm going to play very passively until I get my tech, until I get my bases up and running, and then no holds barred. I'm going straight for you.
Exactly. And to be fair, Nightmare, he wasn't necessarily trying to be too aggressive either, right? He was poking and prodding, but he himself wasn't really too committed. He was also going into a longer game as well. But we saw that, again, the quality of the army was lacking there. And I guess we should also emphasize something that you pointed out, right? Is that Creator did also go for a kill move, right? He also cut workers at 58. He didn't actually saturate his 4th. He took it, but he didn't saturate it. And he actually kind of lured Nightmare into a false insecurity where Nightmare was maybe over-investing into his own economy and maybe misreading Creator a little bit there.
Yeah, I like to imagine that was intentional.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was intentional until further notice. This is something that is a really good way of trying to get a bit of an edge here in PvP. Just trying to trick your opponent a little. But speaking of which, we're going to be continuing our best of 7 here on Raduzet Station, otherwise known as the Rad House. Over here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way. In the bottom left, we have our red Rotas player coming out from the land of Korea. Representing Club Envy, we have Creator.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless, deserving to be on a team, and looking to bounce back in this series in this best of 7. It is Nightmare.
much quicker to scout than this opponent.
Yeah, much faster probe scout here, which is quite important on Radisson Station. I don't know how much or how many games you've casted on this map, Yaku, but it is very unique, it is very unorthodox, and it can lead into some really weird game states.
Radisson Station is a weird map for me because it feels like one of the few maps that I actually play on more than I get to cast on.
That's most likely true.
Players
Actually,
don't like it for some reason. I love it.
I don't understand why they don't like it, Papi. It's great. You know, you get a free natural, you get a free third base as well. You know, you can just turtle it up, be as greedy as possible.
Yeah.
Speaking of being greedy, both players are going for gate expand setups. I'm curious if we take additional gases. There we go. 2 gases here for Creator, 2 gases for Nightmare. We could end up in Phoenix Wars. I know I'm calling it a little bit too soon, but if both players throw down Stargates, that could be the direction that we're headed in.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep our eyes on the production tab for that, and it's not a bad map for it. Skytoss in general is pretty good in Radisson Station. It's a very large map. There are some dead air positions that you can really take advantage of, and yeah, that's definitely one way of getting into your opponent's pocket expansion if you really want to keep them on a lower economy than yours.
Exactly. And speaking of a lower economy or even a greater economy, we have our openers. We have a Stargate first, then an expansion here out of Creator. Nightmare, he went Nexus first, then into Stargate. So a slight deviation. Basically, Nightmare is a little bit greedier, Creator a little bit safer. But as we did mention, both players did open up Stargate, and both players know about it as well, which means this should be leading to Phoenix production. Creator, he actually hasn't seen the Stargate of his opponent. Nightmare has, so it's possible that Creator might make an Oracle, but this again would be the beginning of Phoenix versus Phoenix if Creator makes a Phoenix versus. Yeah, it's happening.
Yep. Well, we're at the beginning, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's what we're gonna get.
I'm loving the copium. I love it. It's give it to me.
I know it's Phoenix.
It's not gonna be Phoenix Wars, right?
Okay, no doubt. I know Nightmare is also starting to produce Phoenixes as well.
Yeah. Only one.
But there's also a Stalker.
True. You know, he's also making a Stalker, right? Like, you don't have to make a second Phoenix. I mean, Creator's making it. You don't have to make a third Phoenix from here, you know? You just make 3, right?
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yo, that Zelda's going ham, by the way. It actually dealt quite a little bit of damage to that Stargate.
Yeah, that's hull damage into yellow, which is almost unheard of.
That's the second Stargate, by the way. It's Phoenix Wars.
Well, you could transition to Void Rays from here.
True, you could mass Void Ray, right? You can maybe go for like a hard switch and go into like a Twilight Council into charge, right? You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the second Stargate.
Start getting
So the reason why we brought this up earlier, by the way, just because we have a little bit of time as our players are building up Phoenixes. One, we have to be very careful. Ooh, not to get baited out, by the way. We do land onto one of those Phoenixes already. We lose 1. Oh.
Yeah, and Creator was already up 1 to begin with, so there's a chance here for him to chase us down and to just really bully Nightmare's Phoenixes into submission. But Creator, as he is wont to do, backs away, decides to just amass a larger Phoenix force before getting too active on the map.
I mean, this Adept was the MVP. Basically, because of this Adept, 1 Phoenix already died, and I'm sure you know as well as I that Phoenix Wars can be made or broken off of like a 1 Phoenix lead. Like, Phoenixes, they snowball very quickly out of control, and if you're at a deficit, then that's just brutal. Right now, Nightmare is safe just because of the shield battery. He's parked on top of the shield battery. He has the overcharge, but at a certain point, we're gonna be able to one-shot. Like, at a certain point, the overcharge will not be enough to save him.
That it will not. Nightmare now trying to find a way to get ahead of Creator, and the Fleet Beacon is definitely a really good way of going about it. He's much quicker to produce that. If he can get Phoenix range quicker than Creator, then that's definitely a way to mitigate Creator's numbers advantage for now. But It's definitely going to be a pretty big if, because Creator is not that far behind when it comes to his own sweep beacon.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a very small window. Like Phoenix Range is on the way here for Nightmare. Phoenix Range just now starting up for Creator. There's like a couple of seconds difference, not the biggest of differences to be honest. Likewise, we have +1 air attack on the way for both players. Third base is on the way for both players. Looking at the units tab, Creator does have that Phoenix lead from earlier because he killed one, and that is something that is difficult to surpass. That's the problem here in this matchup. In mirror matchups in general, whether it's ZVZ, TVT, or PvP, we have equal production. So as long as we keep making two Phoenixes at a time, Creator, he will stay ahead in Phoenixes.
Yeah. At least until the next patch, in which case you get like 2 sentries, and that's gonna make up for it.
True. Very true. Now, it isn't all doom and gloom. As we saw before, there are ways to kind of like bait out a fight. Something that I was about to mention about how the Adept was the MVP. Basically, the Adept baited out a Graviton like drive, or baited out a lift, which meant that one of the Phoenixes wasn't attacking. And those things you can do, right? You can try to bait out and try to catch your opponent when they have like 1 or 2 Phoenixes that aren't being active. Maybe you can catch them with a shield battery advantage. Maybe you can catch them unstacked. Like that's another big thing that's happening right now, is that Nightmare is sharking around. Well, he is spotted by that Zolnaga, but like there is a way where maybe he can try to catch Creator off guard.
Yeah. To do that first one though, you need ground units.
Yeah,
and that's something neither of our players have a lot of right now. As Creator has 1 Adept and Nightmare has 1 Stalker.
Let's go.
And Creator actually lost his Adept, so he can get more Phoenixes.
True.
Let's go.
Oh, and this is okay. Another big timing's on the way. Mothership is on the way here for Creator. Now, this is something that's occurred in the new patch with the new Mothership. I don't know if you've seen this dynamic before, Yaku, because I know you haven't been casting as often recently. But basically, the cloak is now an activation ability for the Mothership, and we don't have detection because there's no robo, there's no observer. You need an oracle. You need an oracle right now. You need detection. Otherwise, the cloak from this Mothership is going to be a huge timing, a huge window here for Creator.
Absolutely, especially in the Phoenix Wars, where it's a little bit more difficult to really target down the Mothership and try to take it out only with Phoenixes.
Yeah, because
like, this is Void Raid v Void Raid, and maybe it'd be possible, but this isn't the case.
You really want the mass Void Raid. You really want it to happen. But here we go. We do stack up. We're going to be diving in. The Mothership's going to be coming out in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and already not a great start here for Nightmare. Did utilize the Graviton, so not all of his Phoenixes were firing at a time. A couple of his Phoenixes actually spread out a little bit, not bunched up together, so Creator takes a slight lead when it comes to that Phoenix battle, and now the Mothership is out, and Nightmare, he knows he has to back away and try to figure something else out.
Yeah, to be fair, that cloak was used a little bit prematurely, so we have to wait a little bit longer for that cloak to reset its cooldown, and that means that Nightmare, he has time to back off and get into his own Mothership. So he gets his Mothership on the way. He can produce a couple of oracles as well for detection. Carrier production has commenced, and both players going to be backing off from each other for a while here. But looking at the units tab, Creator, he's up 4 Phoenixes. That last fight earlier was not insignificant. Like, he has a pretty hefty Phoenix lead now.
Indeed, he does, and this is quite a lot of momentum going his way. But it's a momentum that can definitely be stalled very, very quickly with the arrival of these carriers. Creator now getting a robo facility, which is an interesting choice, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's just for the observer. I don't think he wants to make an oracle for detection, but here we go. We dive on into that pocket base before the recall. More pieces going to be going down.
And that's definitely going to give Creator a huge window where he has the Phoenix advantage, where he can just go across the map immediately. Nightmare knows that he needs to start trading a couple of his Phoenixes out. He knows that he wants to get more supply for carriers, but once again, this also gives Creator such a timing, such a window of opportunity where he can just come in, bully the low number of Phoenixes that Nightmare has, bully the carriers even when they're in low numbers as well.
Yeah, exactly. We do have some cannons. Again, Phoenixes, they don't shoot down, so the cannons are going to be able to zone this entire army away. Meanwhile, when it comes to the unit tab, we have 34 Phoenixes to 12. 12 Phoenixes for Nightmare. He has to rely on his stack defense and his carriers, and the carriers need time to build up interceptors.
They do. Good pop of the cloak, but Nightmare is going to be the player with detection this time.
Oh, the Mothership getting very low.
Super vulnerable. both of them trade motherships.
There we go. We trade Mothership for Mothership. We're going to try and focus on these carries. We get one, we get two. We're going to get the third as well. The overcharge. It's not good enough.
And the fourth? Yeah, not quite good enough. Once again, the creator just making full use of his numbers advantage to perpetually put Nightmare behind. He's building nothing but Phoenixes right now.
Yeah. Just pure Phoenixes.
And as long as he can keep chipping away at Nightmare's army, he's going to win.
He's just bullying right now. There we go. Another carry going to be going down. There's not enough DPS. There's not enough side defense either. We camp the production. We camp these Phoenixes, and there's nothing left in the air. Creator, he snowballs out of control. Who needs carriers when you just can make Phoenixes?
That's all you need. GG is called. Creator getting things off of a pretty solid 2-0 lead in this best of 7. Honestly, not what I was expecting here in a PvP against Nightmare.
GG, yeah, solid lead here from Creator. I mean, it's still a long series, we still have a lot of games ahead of us, but as you said, just a really strong start here from Creator, despite the reputation that Nightmare has.
Definitely. I'm at a little bit of a loss of words here. I thought, maybe we'd see them going back and forth a little bit in these first two games, especially when we got into Phoenix Wars, which really does seem like the PvP strategy, right? And when you think of PvP styles, you generally have to go for Nightmare, but in this case, Creator, I guess, figured something out that Nightmare hadn't, or figured out a weakness in Nightmare's specific style that he was able to utilize here.
Yeah, well, I think what I will say is that I feel like these first two games have really played to Creator's strengths, right? We spoke about how Nightmare, he can be a very fast player, a very active and aggressive player, and he just hasn't really been able to flex that at all in game 1 or in game number 2, especially game 2 where Phoenix versus Phoenix is on a knife's edge, right? As we were mentioning, if you lose one Phoenix early on, you're behind, and it's so difficult to catch up, and we did see Nightmare just take one too many bad fights there and things snowballed out of control. I don't expect us to get too many Phoenix Wars in this series, though.
Yeah, especially not on a map like Oceanborn, where we're here in the bottom right-hand corner map, swinging all the way in the bottom right. We have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea, representing Club NV. We have Creator.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player. The blue Protoss, known for his PvP, is dominant in this matchup, but struggling in this series. Can he bounce back? He needs to. Here and now, it is Nightmare.
And if there was ever going to be a map where, the probes are going to miss each other. Never mind. I was not looking at the mini-map, I was just looking at both of them zoomed in. Anyway, if there was ever a map when Nightmare was going to bounce back, I do think it would be Oceanborn. It's a map that lends itself very, very well to Blink styles, especially Blink Disruptor styles, which Nightmare has shown a, I don't want to say perfect, but near perfect control of in these past couple of years.
Yeah, give this man some Blink Stalkers. Yeah, give him some aggression, give him some earlier gateways, and he can make some magic happen. And I agree. I feel like the maps really do play a lot here in this series, in a mirror matchup especially. We spoke about Radisson Station and how macro-oriented it is and how you can skip a lot of phases of the game. Again, that's a big reason why Phoenix Wars occurred then and there. But here on smaller maps like Oceanborn, like Hardlet as well, you can be more in your face of your opponents, and I imagine that's what Nightmare is going to be doing here. We'll see though as we're getting into our first couple of units.
Indeed, we are. Stalker v Stalker is what we're starting off with. I have to wonder if we'll see a bit of a repeat of game number 1 here, where Creator gets a couple of Stalkers, but then opts to go for a bit of a more sentry-heavy opening, whereas Nightmare, as in game number 1, looks to be the aggressor, gets a couple more Stalkers, and tries to be more active on the map. Again, usually what we expect from Nightmare, and we usually expect that to work out really, really well for him. He's got some fantastic Stalker control, especially when Blink comes into the equation, especially when he has the ability to zone his opponent's Stalkers with Disruptors. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, I think it's really good
Didn't work out too well for him in game 1.
I think it's really good that you brought up game 1 because I feel like there's no reason for a creator to deviate. As we're seeing here, you know, double Stalker into a sentry heavy composition just like game number 1. And I feel like creator, he most likely wants to play out like game 1 and really try to hit his stride in the mid game. As you mentioned, because of how unsuccessful Nightmare was in that first game, I imagine we're going to be seeing some kind of adaptation. And for the time being, we do see that he is actually making less Stalkers this time. You talked about how Nightmare wasn't able to achieve too much with his Stalker aggression in game 1, and this time he is going more sentry heavy.
Yeah, trying to take the game to creator, trying to also go for what seems to be a little bit more of a passive defensive style that's focused more on scouting and macro.
Yeah, it feels like Nightmare maybe wants to try to be creator at his own game sort of thing. You know, it's like, hey, you want to open up defensively and a little bit more greedy or mid-game focus, and I'm going to do the same. And if we're even here, I want to prove that I can surpass you as well. So it's a bold move by Nightmare, and so far, both players are very much so mirroring each other. Both players are taking in the same direction. We're still kind of waiting for any kind of deviation.
Indeed, we are. I think a very crucial thing to take note of for Nightmare, though, is that he already got once in the series in game number 1, where he saw the 4th base being thrown down, and he thought, oh no, Creator's playing really greedy, I need to throw down my own bases, I need to try to attack him, but that fell right into Creator's hands. I doubt he's going to fall for the same thing twice.
Yeah, you know what they say, mate, you got, you don't got again.
Yeah. You got it. You ain't gonna get. You ain't gonna get got.
There you go.
Again.
I like to. That's gonna be the next Zoomer philosopher, mate. That's what's gonna be said. Oh god. No cap.
Anyone who uses TikTok is free to take that.
There you go.
And give that advice and spread that advice throughout TikTok.
Oh no. People are gonna listen to Yaku. For now, though, we're kind of settling in towards the mid game. Third base is being taken. Both players are being very active here with their hallucination scouts, keeping an eye on any kind of tech transition. And for the time being, Blink is on the way for everyone. Forges are on the way for everyone for +1. The only difference here between our players is that Nightmare is going for an earlier Robo, and Creator hasn't thrown down a Robo whatsoever, not yet at least. So I'm curious because that could lead into earlier Immortal production.
Yeah, which we saw how well that worked out for Creator in game number 1, and just how crucial even just getting those 3 Immortals can be in the earlier game in the PvP when the armies are going to be more Stalker focused, when the main backbone of an army is going to be Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see if that is going to be the case here. For now, we do have the Observer first, but again, Immortals are always going to be available thereafter. Creator, he's going for his own Robo behind this. Again, it is later than that of Nightmares, but it is still on the way here for Creator, so again, we'll keep an eye on our players. Once again, fast Templar Archives here, so Creator, he's just taking up very quickly, gaining access to so much here, not just Immortals, but also Archons.
Yeah. What we're very much used to from Creator here in PvPs, where he really does want to get to that more diverse army composition in the mid-game and just try to continue keeping up his advantage with attacks. It's 100% in Nightmare's interest right now to try to...
Oh yeah,
to try to get little opportunities wherever he can. Nightmare, he saw what was coming his way, and he knew, oh, I'm about to get sandwiched. I need to get the heck out of here.
He's like, yo, I'm about to get got. I need to get the hell out of here. And then, you know what? He was able to back off in time.
Come get me.
Has to be very careful here, as you see Creator with the Stalker lead does force him back. Creator, he does set up his mortal production once again. Meanwhile, Nightmare is going for a Prism. And quickly checking here, Nightmare, he actually did go for a Gateway Explosion. He went for a much faster 4th. Creator, his own 4th is still on the way, so Nightmare has a slightly better economy, and he's just doubling down on Zealots and Stalkers. He's hitting here and now before Creator can really get into any Archons. At least he's hoping to.
Yeah, any Archons, any Immortals, anything really that can really counter the army of Nightmare. Creator does get his Archon out, does get his Immortal out, but it's only one. Army supplies are about even, but again, Nightmare has much more production that Creator has right now, much faster production as well. He can continue to outscale Creator for a while anyway.
And very nice force field here. The Archon's gonna be able to break them, but we are just tying off this fourth base. The fourth is under threat. We dive into the army. We do try to bypass the force as well. We do have a big weapon of zealots, and the prism is gonna be focused down. We do cancel the zealots.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was going to be a very good blink here for Creator, and you know what, actually I'm still not convinced, as his own army's about to get sandwiched. The Archon did get taken out earlier on, so Creator's actually having a very hard time dealing with these Zealots. The Immortals not here to deal with the Stalkers. The Nexus is still alive somehow, but it shouldn't be for much longer. Cancels that Warping of Stalkers as well, does Nightmare, and somehow the Nexus survives.
Wow, somehow the fourth base does barely survive. Reinforcements, they keep on trickling in. Nightmare, he wants to end the game here and now, by the way. He dives into the Immortal. The reinforcements, they're late for Nightmare, but they're still here, and he's still overwhelming Creator. We have more reinforcements coming in from across the map. The Prism has been remade as well. It looks like Nightmare, he still may just have too much.
That he does. Creator played a little bit fast and loose with his high-tech units, with his Archon, with his Immortals. Blinked away and left them way too vulnerable, and now he's just got the same army but much smaller.
Exactly. You know, he's spending so much money here on tech, right, on Immortal production, on Archons, but they're not here. They're not here, not anymore. GG gets called. Creator is broken, and Nightmare fights back, putting a point on the board.
Just like so. GG. This could be the beginning of the comeback.
GG. So Creator playing a very similar style to game number one, as you were mentioning, but Nightmare, this time he had an answer. This time he had a response, and it was to be a little bit more confident in his aggression here, to go for a timing, to go for a very close timing as well. Again, if he had waited any longer, then Creator, he would have had a second Immortal, a third Immortal, more Archons as well. As you were mentioning, like, he had attacked just as Creator only had one Immortal and one Archon joining his army. He wasn't able to make use of his tech.
Exactly. He got Creator.
He got got.
Before he got.
Yeah. He got before he got.
Yeah.
There you go.
He got. This isn't showing up on screen.
Oh god. What was that?
He got.
Oh, yeah. There you go. He did get it. Ay. As we're getting into our next game here. Fun fact, I was actually Googling Game of Thrones earlier today. Fun fact. I was looking up, like, is there any words on the next book? Is there any words on Winds of Winter? No. The answer is no. It's still
The answer is potentially?
It's still in production. Smooch.
Yes.
I don't got.
Oof. We're never getting got.
Feels bad.
Smooch.
Feels bad. But regardless, a solid game there from our blue Protoss. But now we're getting into our next game, and we still have quite a lead here for our player in the bottom left.
Yeah, not an insignificant lead. He is up 2-1 in this best of 7 series, and now continuing that on El Guione, where over here in the bottom left-hand corner map spawning. All the way in the bottom left, we in fact have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He's going to be representing Club NV. We have Creator.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player fighting back in the series, putting a point on the board. Can he keep it up? Can he tie up the series 2-2? It is Nightmare.
Doing what I consider to be the Terran mantra, but is in fact also the NA mantra. If your opponent likes to go for a style that kills you at a certain time, kill them first.
There you go. Yeah, just kill them first.
Yeah.
And I love this out of Nightmare as well. So I don't know if you noticed, but he's basically faking a proxy. He mined through the minerals, but he's actually not going to the other side of the map. He's making it look like he is, as he hides the probe instead, and I believe he should be hiding a second pylon.
somewhere out here on the map. Most likely just going to be a spotter pylon, as you said. There's way too much production back home to really be a... Oh, actually, no. Creator's going to be the one to throw out a pylon in the middle of the map.
Okay, so Nightmare throws down his second pylon in the main base. Creator, he doesn't even scout, by the way. Creator, he doesn't care about like the gymnastics that Nightmare is doing right now. All these flips, all these tricks. Doesn't even care. Setting up for a proxy. And this looks like a proxy robo. This looks like the beginning of an all-in.
This is a mantra I'm much more familiar with. Like, you can't get tricked if you can't see.
There you go. And there it is. The robo has been thrown down. It is going to be a one base all in out of Creator. Now Nightmare, when he scouted, he did see that the pylon was missing, so he knows that the second pylon is not where it should be. He's checking the mineral wall just like what he did. He's, you know, making sure that there's no kind of shenanigans here on the right hand side of the map, and he's on the hunt looking for that pylon.
I wonder what goes on in your head right now if you're Nightmare. You're like, aha, I've cleverly faked out this proxy. Oh, wait, you have a real proxy?
Oh no.
He's checking just about everywhere. I don't believe he's going to be crossing paths, but his stalkers do catch it anyway. This robo is not going to be able to get anything out of it.
Well, I mean, you say that. Second pylon's going to be on the way. Two stalkers have arrived as well. Creator, he's going to be fighting for this robo. He wants to try to keep it alive.
Yeah, he knows that even though it has been scouted, the power of the Immortal is still powerful enough to continue to keep this going. Creator going to take a little bit of a stalker lead, but going to be losing the other stalker very quickly as well. Probes, man, they're important, and it's especially important to keep your stalkers alive because you don't want to have your Immortals too exposed.
Yeah, pylon goes down, but there was a second pylon as well. The Immortal does arrive. We can just shoo away these stalkers, and this all-in is still very much so underway. It has been spotted, as you did mention. It has been scattered, but Creator, he can still try to pull this off.
I like the commitment to the Shade. Will allow Creator just to continue to chip away at these stalkers. Doesn't lose too much health, doesn't lose it manages to keep his adepts alive as well. Nightmare is preparing back home though, so Creator, while there is a lot of power behind his all-in, while it definitely has a lot of micro ability with this Warpism, will also have to contend with Nightmare's own Immortals back home, with Nightmare having the advantage of shield batteries. I don't think he quite has battery overcharge yet. But still, this is Creator.
Yeah.
Little too cocky over here with his Warpism control. Will be losing it, and with that, she'll be losing the whatever advantage he had with this proxy.
There's no way out. There's no escape here. The Immortal goes down. The Prism goes down. Creator, he gets caught out in the center of the map. Across the map, we do have a couple of adepts, but no, we get cleaned up as well. And this has fallen on its face. We do have another Immortal out. We have a second on the way, but the robo is going to be depowered, and from there, Creator just losing so much wind out of his sails, just losing so much from this all-in.
Yeah, just losing just about everything here. Nightmare up double the army supply right now. Creator is hiding a couple of units in the north over here. Gotta see if he can really sneak in, but he's going to be fighting an uphill battle. Nightmare, he wants to reciprocate that damage. He wants to get his revenge and really put the hurt on Creator. Creator has barely anything back home to really defend against this.
Yeah, the only thing he has is force fields, right? He can force field the ramp, that's true, but that's what the Warpism is for. We can just juggle over the over the shield batteries, over the force fields anyway, and we can just shade on through. We're diving on top of the army, and we can focus on those sentries. It looks like, yeah, it's just not going to be enough to stop Nightmare.
Yeah, battery overcharge does get popped, but I doubt it's going to be enough. Shield battery does get taken out as well. Boys are being pulled and boys are being killed, as Creator's really just hoping for a base trade at this point. That's really the best he can hope for.
Yeah, exactly. He has one Immortal, he has one Adept across the map. He's killing a lot of probes, to be fair. He's getting a lot of damage done, but at the same time, look at the size of the army here. Again, boys are being pulled because they have to be, but we can micro, we can juggle back, we can preserve these units.
It's all about the Warpism juggling versus the mineral walking. The boys are actually helping out a ton here for Creator, but both players are about even economically, and Nightmare still has the much better army. GG is called. Nightmare gonna be tying up our series 2-2.
GG, well played in much faster games here. You can see the Nightmare, he thrives so much more in the early to mid game, and just like that, we have a tied up series.
Just like so. Just like so. A little unfortunate here for Creator. It's kind of weird to see Creator being the one to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to give you a taste of your own medicine. I'm going to be the one who is going to take the initiative, proxying, and trying to take you out. But in the end, we see why that doesn't work very well against a player like Nightmare, who was born in the chaos of PvP compared to players like Creator, the more Mauer-esque types, the X-axis of Protoss, who merely adopted the chaos.
Exactly. Merely adopted while Nightmare, he was forged in it, and here we go. We're here to determine who takes the lead in the series. And I mentioned this map earlier when we were talking about Oceanborn, but Hardlead is another small map. Short rush distance by ground. Aggression can be very much so favored on this map. And Nightmare, the comeback, will it continue? He's got momentum on his side already here.
We shall see. Indeed, we shall see, as we continue our series now on Hardlead, as you mentioned. Anyway, here in the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top left, we have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea, representing Club NV, taking a 2-0 lead in the series, but now, having a lot of that momentum stalled, we have Creator.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player who was down 2-0, but now has won 2 games in a row. Can he keep it going? Can he take a lead in this series? The blue Protoss, it is Nightmare.
I just want to point out that we're now in game number 5, and we've barely passed about 40 minutes of broadcast time. That PvP, man.
Yeah.
Quickly.
And to be fair, we've had like quite a wide array of PvP, right? Because the first 2 games were pretty macro oriented. Remember, like game number 1 went up to 4 bases, soon to be 5 as Nightmare got caught with his pants down. And game number 2 was on Radisson Station, also went up to 4 base economy as well. Like, those are some longer games.
We saw carriers.
We did see carriers and motherships as well. -300, Bobby. So we had some longer games, and then we had game 3 and 4, which were over far faster. It just goes to show just how chaotic PvP can be.
Really does. Also, it goes to show the strengths and weaknesses of both of our players, it seems. Creator thrives in those longer games, thrives when he can really get his economy up and running, when he can really hit his timings unhindered. Nightmare really thrives when, 1, he is being aggressive, and 2, when his opponent is being a little too fast on the aggression, I would say.
Exactly. That's kind of like the strengths and weaknesses of our 2 players. We'll see if that trend continues, or we can break that mold. For now, Creator opening up double adept for the first time this series. We've had Stalker-based openers all around, but no, now this time Creator, he will switch it up here. A little bit more of an aggressive opener. We'll see if he commits into a 4th and 5th, sorry, into a 3rd and 4th adept, and even more adepts thereafter, or if he only goes for 2.
And he is getting a 3rd and a 4th. And he's hiding them as well. I'm not sure how well hidden they are. I think Nightmare was able to catch a glimpse of those adepts with his warping and pylon, but still, Creator's saving his adepts. He wants to not trickle them in. He wants to make sure that when he gets to the other side of the map, he can just mow down these probes like nobody's business.
Exactly. So a very risky play style here out of Creator. Then we go 3rd and 4th adept. We're getting a 5th and a 6th as well, by the way. So we're just doubling down on mass adept. Now, the way this works, typically against adept harass, you can wall off with a pylon, you can wall off with a shield battery, but once the adept count gets a little bit higher, you can actually DPS down those buildings, and you require something heftier here, a cybercore or a gateway instead to wall off. So this is quite a bit of commitment, and this can hit like a truck.
Yeah, absolutely can. You don't normally think of adepts being the unit that hits like a truck. You normally think more of stalkers being the unit to do that, as we see right now. But it's all about the numbers. 1 pylon will go down. Very quick recall coming out here from Nightmare, meaning that he will be able to keep all of his stalkers alive.
Yeah, he preserves every single stalker. He now knows how committed his opponent is. Now, what is scary here is that he hasn't seen the main base. Nightmare checking his vision. Yeah, he hasn't seen the robo. And I believe with this robo is going to come a prism. Because Adepts, sure, they can try to threaten the shade in towards the main base via the ramp, but War Prism is a great way to bypass the ramp and just go straight for the mineral line.
Absolutely is. You can juggle those Adepts in, you can sneak around and just try to warp in more Adepts behind that. Got a lot of possibilities here with the Warp Prism.
Exactly, there it is. The War Prism is on the way. Meanwhile, here comes a Hallucination Scout, a very important Nightmare. He does get eyes on the Robo. Even though he doesn't see the War Prism itself, he might be able to, and even then, he should be able to piece it together. There we go, the Prism has been spotted, and actually, Nightmare, he slips in!
Is able to slip in. Creator wasn't expecting 2 Adepts here coming out from Nightmare. He will be able to surround them. He should be able to take at least one of them out, but already losing 6 probes. That is rough. That is a rough start here for Creator.
A rough start. We commit to the shade as well. We get locked in. The Adepts are split up. The Prism isn't here yet, by the way, and this is not a fight that we can take right now. We have shield batteries, we have an overcharge. The Stalkers, they come out on top. We do manage to get a couple of probe kills, but again, that's still not going to be good enough, and Creator, he's on the back foot. He has to try to bounce back. He still has some Adepts. He still has that War Prism threatening the main base, but he needs to get damage done.
Okay, I don't believe Nightmare actually saw that War Prism. No, he got a glimpse of it, and now he's preparing.
Oh, he is preparing for that War Prism. Plenty of Stalkers here, and again, Stalkers, they do outscale Adepts as the game goes on. We do focus on a good amount of probes, though. That's going to be another 4 probes. We do recall back home.
Yeah, and with that, Creator will be able to equalize when it comes to the probe count, the worker count, and yeah, we'll have a little bit of a larger army supply, but as you said, Adepts don't really scale too well as the game continues, which is why we see Creator now switching into Immortals and eventually Blink.
Speaking of, that's the big difference right now. Blink is done. Because Nightmare, he didn't spend or waste any time on Adepts, he has a very high Stalker count and he already has Blink. Blink just started for Creator because he went for a Robo first. He delayed his Twilight Council. But thankfully, he's still getting more damage done. That's going to be another 5 dead probes. 6 even.
Yeah, can we get 7? We can get 7 at the very least, so Creator far ahead when it comes to the worker count. He is now up 10 probes, 40 versus a 30 of Nightmare, but he really needs to gear up for the counterattack. He does have Immortals back home, and he is starting to get shield batteries, but once again, Nightmare is the player with Blink, and the buffer for these Immortals is not looking too impressive here for Creator.
Yeah, what's also scary here, because we have Blink, we actually don't have to dive into the natural. We could dive into the main. And there is an Immortal, but there's no shield battery. No shield battery yet in the main base, so it is a little bit more vulnerable here of a location. So Nightmare, he can pick and choose where he wants to go. We'll see what he commits to, as a Hallucination is going to be running out. We do go for the force field, but we're not quite going to be committing.
You love to see it. A Protoss player throwing down a Haluk to bluff their opponents. Hey, sometimes it works.
Yeah,
it worked on me once. I saw 4 Colossus. No, I don't want to tangle with that. It was actually only 1 Colossus.
He's going for the force field. He's going for the dive, going for the force field. He's going to be blinking to the main base, force field, and ramp, locking everything in.
Oh, where's the blink? Where's the blink? Oh. There's the blink. Blink's right on top of 1, and now 2 of these Immortals. Guardian Shell does get popped, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough to keep that Immortal alive. Nightmare loses a decent chunk of his units, but still has a lot of Stalkers here, still is able to keep this up. Warp Prism goes down of Nightmare! Warp Prism goes down of Creator. 1 Immortal goes down as well. It's all said and done. I questioned who got the better end of that deal. Looking at the units lost tab, Creator did lose more. He lost 3 of his Immortals. So.
Exactly. Nightmare, he did trade better here. You can see here on the battle report, we lost 3 Immortals and a War Prism and Sentries. Nightmare lost his Prism, yes, but 6 Stalkers. A much more efficient trade for the blue Protoss player. Nightmare has a slight worker lead, and Nightmare, behind that push, you go to 3rd. 3rd base is up and running. Creator, he's still on 2 bases. Creator being forced all in. Now the turns have tabled. Nightmare has to defend. Creator has to attack.
He does, but it's going to be very tough attacking when he doesn't have a Warp Prism out just yet. He's going to have to maneuver himself towards Nightmare's side of the map regardless. He's trying to chrono out that trying to chrono out that Warpism as quickly as he can, but I'm not sure it's going to be here in time.
Yeah, Blink is done for Creator, thankfully, but as you mentioned, we have a Shield Battery, we have an Overcharge, we have 2 Immortals as well, and Nightmare, he was forced out of position, he was chasing down the depths, but now he's racing back home. He's racing back home, he's going to get here in time, and again, Nightmare, he's still ahead of base, he's still up 10 workers, and Creator still does not have a third. He's 2 base all in.
Yeah, he has to be at this point. He knows that if he gets a third base, he's perpetually going to be behind, so he knows he has a slightly larger RB supply. He really is going to have to rely a lot on his control to try and make something out of it. Good force fields, able to take out one of these Immortals.
Yeah. Not a bad start for
Nightmare.
Creator, but we're bleeding out a lot of Stalkers as well. And remember, Nightmare has the advantage here when it comes to time. Time is working for Nightmare. The longer this goes on, the better it is for the Blue Protoss.
Indeed, it is going to be much, much better for him. Warpism will go down here for Nightmare. A couple of these Immortals will continue to stay alive. Creator trying to bait Nightmare into fighting outside of shield battery range. Nightmare not feeling too pressured to get outside of that. He knows that he can continue to just sort of camp here and try to force Creator into him. Nightmare now actually the player with the higher army supply.
Oh, he has a supply, he has a worker lead, he's going to be pulling the boys, he's going to do a great job here at tanking some shots. We have another Immortal coming in, we dive on top of the Immortals. Where's the Prism, by the way? The Prism a little bit too far back, we focus down both Immortals, GG gets called, and Nightmare, he will hold, he will take a lead in this best of 7.
He is now on match point, fighting back so hard in these shorter maps, in these maps where he can really show how well he can counterattack, how well he can shine when it comes to his aggression.
Yeah, exactly. And something that's interesting here is that these last 2 games, it hasn't necessarily been Nightmare being aggressive initially. Like, he's thrived in the aggression, don't get me wrong. He's thrived in the earlier games, but it's been off of the back of Creator struggling a little bit here, or Creator being aggressive himself and struggling against Nightmare.
Yeah, definitely. It almost feels like Creator is trying too hard to play to the map's advantages. When maybe he would have been better off sticking more towards a style that he's more comfortable with.
Definitely, right? It's like where, you know, Creator, there's no need to go all in, you know, we don't have to be aggressive like this, you know, we can just calm things down, you know, settle into a more standard game, and that's where Creator can really thrive, and I'm sure he knows that as well. And as a result, you know, the games, the maps, the series, it's slipping through his fingers here. Nightmare, he is getting further ahead, and now Nightmare is 1 game away from winning it all.
Yeah, un momento por favor is all he needs. It would be him, not quite reverse sweeping, I guess, but still winning 4 games in a row. If that were to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also trying to Google Translate here right now as our players are discussing amongst themselves. They're actually talking about the game. Creator, he's lamenting a little bit about what happened on Hard Lead, and talking about, you know, some of the events that transpired there.
Oof. I can imagine. There's Google. Yeah, I too am trying to Google Translate. Yeah, I can definitely imagine Creator lamenting a little bit of what went wrong in the previous game. Now I'm trying to figure out what he has decided went wrong. I see Thursday somewhere in there, apparently. June's what is it, like a fantasy? I thought I wouldn't die. That's what Google Translate is telling me.
No, he said that he fell behind after the attack. I think he's saying that he wasn't expecting, I'm just very quickly trying to translate, that he wasn't expecting the third base. So suddenly he was just all in, and he was just in a really rough position from there after his initial failed attack with his adepts and committing to the shade. I think he's saying about how he made a mistake. If you remember when he shaded across the map initially and lost all of his adepts, or a lot of his adepts as well.
Yes. Where he lost a lot of that. That is not at all what Google Lens Translate is telling me. Google Lens is telling me that they're talking about Dune, apparently. And Creator wants to be a worm where you can trap Nightmare from underground. Question mark?
he did say that he was trying to trap him. He was trying to catch him.
There we go.
That is something he was saying. But yeah, they're just discussing the game right now, and right now is not a bad time for a break, to be honest. Right now is not a bad time for a break, just because again, Nightmare's on match point, right? Like, Nightmare, one more game and this series could be over, so it would make sense for creators to ask for a moment, and to take a bit of a breather, to kind of take in the game itself, and to calm things down a little bit here, to try to fight back and to, you know, bounce back in the series.
Yeah, definitely. Reevaluate what went wrong, figure out a game plan for ideally the next 2 games after this. Remind him, channel his inner Dune? Question mark.
Here
needs to become one with the sand.
There you go, one with the spice, Bobby, one with the spice. And here we go. We're getting into potentially the final game of this series. As a reminder, it's a best of 7. Nightmare just needs one more win. A creator needs to fight back here and now to force the ace match.
Indeed, he does. Nightmare just needs to win 1. Creator needs to win 2 in a row, like he did at the start of the series.
Exactly, you know, like, and can we pull that off on a map like Solaris? Again, there's a lot of bases on this map. True, there's a lot of bases. It can lead into a longer game, but there are also speed zones, and you can still be quite aggressive on this map as well.
Yeah, it's a map of opportunities. And here we go on Solaris, where we're here at the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right. We have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He's going to be representing Club NV. He wishes he was a giant sandworm, question mark, apparently. We have Creator.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent winning 3 games in a row. Can he go for the 4th, by the way? Can he just send it here and now and end the series? One more game is all he needs, representing himself, the Blue Protoss, deserving to be on a team. It is Nightmare.
And I gotta be real honest with you, Light. I kind of forgot Solaris was still in the map pool.
Did you veto it? Is that...
I did not. I vetoed 1 map this current pool, which is the first time I vetoed anything in years at this point. And that map is Equilibrium.
Yep.
Everyone else is vetoing Solaris, apparently.
I mean, again, it's a very interesting map where, sure, like, there's a choke point outside the natural, so you can, you know, use this to your defender's advantage. True, but at the same time, you have speed zones, so things can get across the map quite quickly. And there are 2 different entry points to get onto the same point of elevation as your natural and your third. So all-ins can actually work quite well on a map like Solaris, just because of that fact. You don't really have any high ground vision, or as much high ground vision or high ground advantage as you otherwise would on other maps. So we'll see if we get in for a longer one or a shorter one, as, ooh, Nightmare, it's going to be his turn to throw down some adepts.
He's offended after that previous game. He thought, you think you can adept me? I'll show you how it's really done.
Ooh, okay, we'll see how it is going to be done here, as we have 2 adepts on the way. Do we commit, or do we just make 2 just to kind of feign aggression here from Nightmare?
Well, he's already rallying them across the map, so yep, there we go. Not being quite as committed as Creator was in the previous game, just trying to get these 2 adepts across the map to, like you said, feign some aggression, ideally get a couple of probe kills as well.
Oh, there we go. Yes, as you were saying, just 2 adepts. They do shade across the map. Stalkers are in position, so for now the adepts are going to be forced back, but Creator, he doesn't know if there are more adepts on the way. He doesn't know if Nightmare is pulling a Creator, and is going to try to commit a little bit harder here, as we're going to be threatening Shades and keeping Creator on the back foot, keeping him on notice here back at home.
Yeah, these stalkers wanted to get across the map. They wanted to be active, get a little bit of scouting done, apply a little bit of pressure on that natural base, but now they're forced to remain at home. You know, the last thing Creator wants to allow is to allow these 2 adepts to get into his mineral line and really mess up his economic planning.
Exactly. As we saw in the last game, these adepts, they can get so much damage done. Behind this, we have our natural bases on the way for both players. We have a Twilight Council on the way for both players as well. There is a slight advantage here for Nightmare when it comes to the timing of his building, but only by a couple of seconds. Creator, he's not too far behind.
Yeah, gonna be seeing something fairly similar, potentially anyway, to game number 1, where both players mirrored each other until they didn't. Game number 3 as well. And number 2.
Yeah. True. I mean, it is a mirror matchup, so it can sometimes be difficult to deviate too much from your opponent. We'll see though, as Blink is now on the way for Nightmare again. There's a small window where he has the Blink advantage over his opponent, but it's only a couple of seconds, not the biggest of deals, so not the biggest of timings available here to Nightmare, as he does manage to shade in, doesn't commit though, just barely doesn't go.
Yeah, we'll draw a little bit of attention away from Creator's Micro, and with that we'll allow Hallucinated Phoenix to go in and get a full-on scout of that main base. Confirms the tech, as these two adepts have served very well, but will now be depleted.
Yeah, and this is interesting here, as we're moving out with everything. We have Stalkers, Sentries as well. Looking at the units tab, we have an even army count for both players, and I saw the probe moving out. I was like, yo, we're gonna like throw down a proxy gateway and reinforce. Looks like no, it's just a third base on the way for Nightmare, third base on the way for Creator. Nightmare, he's pulling back, he's only vying for map control. We're playing pretty safe here, pretty mid-game oriented for both Nightmare and Creator.
Which makes a lot of sense here on a map like Solaris. Like you mentioned, it's a map that has a lot of bases, it's a very wide open map. Sure, we have all of these speed zones, but it really does lend itself very, very well to macro, to building up an economy, and then hitting your timing a little bit quicker by taking advantage of the speed.
Exactly. So we're just going to be calming things down here, getting up to 3 bases. We'll keep an eye out for the 4th base timing. We'll keep an eye out for saturation as well. And I'm liking this kind of position for Creator overall. You know, we were talking about how, like, give Creator like a standard mid-game, a standard early game, and like he can really thrive. And right now, everything it's coming up Creator so far, but we'll see if it's like too early to really say here, as we're still just getting saturated on 3 bases.
Indeed, we are. We'll see if we get that little 4th base trick that Creator had early on as well. Nightmare looks like he's the first player to want to go for an expansion, but it does get cut out a little bit here from Creator. Creator, he sees an opportunity, he will snipe 1 sentry, and then immediately blink out of here.
Yeah, he gets the sentry, gets 2 probes, gets away with his adepts in his main army, and he will back off. So these nice little trades here in favor of Creator. Behind this, we have earlier Immortal production from Creator as well, so he will have a bit of a more robust army. Meanwhile, Nightmare just doubling down on additional gateways instead. So this is kind of reminding me, more gateways on the way. This is reminding me very much so of game number 1, where Nightmare has a very gateway heavy composition, and I imagine Creator is going to be taking up instead.
Yeah, that did occur in game number 1, and it worked out really well for Nightmare, as he was able to trick It worked out really well for Creator, as he was able to trick Nightmare into hanging back a little bit and overreacting a little bit to that 4th base earlier on. Didn't work out too well for him on Ocean Point, though, because that was when Nightmare sensed an opportunity and decided to just go straight for it. Full throttle, attack, and attack, and attack.
Ooh, exactly, as the gateways are finishing up, by the way, for Nightmare. He's getting a 4th base, so is Creator, but I do feel like aggression is soon going to be upon us. We're soon going to be moving out. Both players are, as Creator's also investing into a War Prism. With both players going for their War Prisms, that's going to be to reinforce across the map. That's going to be to be in each other's faces.
Yeah, they really want to make sure neither player can really get comfortable. Nightmare going to be the first player to get +1, but Creator's upgrade's not too far behind. Nice little pick off here for Nightmare, taking out a handful of Stalkers before the fight can even really begin.
It does get a handful of Stalkers. It's going to be rotating around at the same time. Prism poised to dive into the main base. Am I seeing things? I am not. I believe that is 2 War Prisms out for Creator. Okay, he has 1 towards the north, 1 towards the south. He could go for some multi-prone aggression. Before that happens, Nightmare, he does come across the 4th base.
And he will be able to cancel that. Got at -100, -100, as Creator warps into the main base of Nightmare. Meanwhile, he's trying to hold back at home. He does have the Zealot lead. lead, and there isn't any AoE here that can really mess them up.
Yeah, at the same time, 7 probes go down at that third base. Creator is still stuck on 3 bases, by the way. We get the Immortal. We're going to be forced back. But this Zealot run by, this Zealot warp in here into the main base from Creator hasn't done anything.
Barely anything. Literally nothing. It killed a pylon and killed a pylon.
Yeah. Traded with the army and didn't get any economic damage done, and Creator is falling behind. He's falling further and further behind as Nightmare, he's already got his 4th base up and running, 10 workers already mining from it as well. He retains most of his army, and Nightmare, he has a supply lead. He's moving out across the map. Creator, the pressure is on.
Pressure is so on. He's going to need some of the best force fields of his entire career if he wants to start to turn things around with the army that he's got.
Yeah, and I thought we were going to be seeing a base trade, but Nightmare, he does have his recall on cooldown. He doesn't feel too good about it. He does spot the main army. He's going to be rotating all the way back home here. Nightmare going to try to hold on here where the shield batteries is just not finishing up, but they get targeted down.
And immediately taken out. Creator going to blink on forward, right on top of all these Zealots. So yeah, maybe not the wisest of blinks here coming out from Creator. Boys are being pulled, and they are helping a lot. Warp Prism will go down, and that looks like all she wrote here for Creator.
Yeah, it looks like all she wrote here is Nightmare is going to be able to focus on the second Prism. I forgot there were 2. They both go down. GG gets called. Nightmare, he shuts down the push. He was able to come out on top earlier, deny the 4th base, come out on top. GG. Nightmare will be this week's Club Envy X Duckling Showdown champion.
GG. Very nicely done here from Nightmare. Going down 0-2 at the start of the series to coming back and winning 4 games in a row to prove once again why he is to be feared, especially in this matchup of PvP. Felt like in game number 1 and game number 2, he was testing the waters a little bit to let Creator play out how he wanted to play, and then once he figured things out, he knew exactly how to adjust things. He knew exactly how to respond to whatever Creator threw his way, and that was just able to win those 4 games in a row, becoming this week's Showdown champion.
Oh yeah, definitely. GG, well played. As you were saying, kind of Nightmare stumbling a little bit early on, but really able to just get into his own stride there in the following games, winning 4 games in a row. Very impressive there by Nightmare. And this also kind of leads into the storyline that you were talking about at the very start of the series, how Nightmare, he is known for his PvP. It's terrifying.
Yep.
Some of the best PvP in all of Korea, in all of the world. And it may have been a shaky start, but, you know, Nightmare, he just had to wake up. You know, he was feeling a little bit groggy. He was able to get into his series quite well.
He just came out of the theater, you know.
a little bit jet lagged.
If Google Translate is reliable.
There you go. But regardless, a solid series out of Nightmare. And again, a big shout out to Creator as well, because he also played beautifully, especially in those first 2 games. And even thereafter, he was able to go toe-to-toe with Nightmare and make a series out of it as well. You know, you don't get a good series without a good opponent. And Creator was just that for Nightmare. And it feels like we got a bit of everything here in this best of 7.
Yeah, we actually got Phoenix Wars again. Dude, Phoenix Wars with Carrier sprinkled in. And the new mothership. That was, something to behold.
If you remember,
something to it's definitely something to behold. We got aggression, we got proxies, we got defense against proxies. We got some macro games going on here and there. A little bit of everything.
Definitely. And
one thing we didn't get, though, which I'm a little surprised, is Blink Disruptor.
We didn't get into the proper Blink Disruptor mid to late game that the game would usually transition into.
Blink. Yep.
We did. So yeah, it was great to see. I'm glad that you got to experience the Phoenix Wars that have becoming more popular recently. Because if you remember, we actually, or I brought it up when we were discussing it in the podcast, when we were talking about like the Cyclone v Cyclone meta, and I was like, you know, Phoenix v Phoenix is still a thing in StarCraft and has been making a resurgence, and you can see why. It is very map dependent though, and I'll be honest, that's also most likely a big reason why Site Delta was vetoed we didn't get to experience Side Delta.
Probably.
But that's also a map that in PvP is known for Phoenix Wars, and you know, with that veto, clearly it shows that at least Creator wanted to avoid that. So yeah, we didn't get as much
But
Phoenixes as we could have, but we got it once.
yeah, we got it at least once. But that's the beauty of the best of 7.
Mhm.
You're gonna be able to see it. And Creator did win that Phoenix Wars.
True.
You know, he might have wanted to avoid him, but came out on top.
Maybe shouldn't have
that
vetoed
one.
Side Delta. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Potentially. Shout out to Creator, though. Definitely shout out to Creator, as I was really impressed that he was able to start off the series as strongly as he was. When you messaged me earlier today and was like, "Yo, you good to cast tonight?" I was like, "Okay, what's going on tonight?" I looked at Nightmare versus Creator and I thought, this could be a 4-0 on the side of Nightmare.
Yeah, again, like Nightmare, his PvP is a terrifying thing, but you know, Creator, he held his own, did hold his own, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing much more of these two facing off against each other in the future as well. You know, they're very active players in the online weeklies like ESL Open Cup Asia as well as the KSL. So again, they're both very active players, and you know, a shout out to them for partaking in this event. A shout out to Club NV, the main sponsors for this show match. The Club NV X Duckling Showdown would not be possible without Club NV, as they do provide for the prize money and the prize pool for our players.
Yeah. It's just one way of Club NV, who aren't quite able to afford a full team roster right now, to still try to support some of their former players, still try to shine a bit of a spotlight on them. Again, as a reminder to chat, Nightmare is currently teamless, so if there are any team owners who are watching right now, I mean, just look at his PvP.
Yeah.
You need that if you're going to be playing in like WTL and whatnot.
Yeah, he is a beast of a player, deserving to be on a team, and I do look forward to the coming weeks, specifically because, for those who are maybe unaware, in the coming weeks, WTL, the World Team League qualifiers are on the horizon, and because of that, keep an eye out for some announcements, because I imagine there are going to be teams quickly picking up whatever players they can, like some of these teamless Korean players in preparation for World Team League.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I was just double checking, and WTL qualifiers are actually in a couple of days.
Oh, well.
I say in a couple of days. They're starting Monday 1st of April.
Oh, there we go. That's not real.
You're like, Papi, how could you be fooled? Clearly, that's not the first day of the WTL qualifiers. Oh, true. Not wrong.
Exactly.
Oh, it's a shame, Papi. It's a shame. But yeah, next week is going to be the WTL qualifiers, so I'm expecting some pickups. I'm hoping for some pickups, but we'll see. You know, we'll keep our eyes or our ears glued to the ground to, you know, try to get a pulse on any kind of pickups here. You know, there are some amazing players like Nightmare. DRG is another big player as well.
Yeah, we'll see who gets get it.
Yeah, I was hearing rumors that I do think that there is going to be some alliances formed.
That would make a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, because there are a lot of teams out there with singular players like Navi and Cloud9, for example, where they only have like
Just
Gumiho and
Nines,
Spirit.
Yeah, that would definitely make a lot of sense, and I'm not sure how WTL rules on that, but because I don't think we've actually seen an alliance in WTL just yet. It's been something. It's not unprecedented. Like, we've seen alliances happen back in the day of other team leagues like GSTL, Pro League, and whatnot. Shout out to Axe and Acer.
True, best team in history of StarCraft, actually. Just
unironic, yeah. Facts, you cannot dispute us.
I mean, they were
that.
GSTL champions, you know, just saying.
They were the final GSTL champions, so
there you go.
Ain't no other GSTL champions after them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Just to clarify what you were just mentioning, specifically for this latest season of WTL, they did adjust the rules to allow for alliances. Just because the organizers of WTL did recognize that there were a lot of like smaller teams with smaller rosters, and they wanted to give them an opportunity and give them a way to actually participate in WTL and in World Team League. So Yeah, another one is Talon Esports, right? They have Dark, right? So there's like a lot of
And only Dark.
and only Dark. Yeah, there's a lot of big teams that have like singular players. So what's the other ones? Mouse with Hero Marine, Big with Showtime.
Yeah, formerly Ents before
Yeah.
before Cyril decided to get on that Basilisk.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes.
yeah, I'm definitely really eagerly awaiting for Team Twisted Nine Talon, Big Twisted Nine Talon,
Okay. Twist
Big
9
Mouse.
Talon. Yeah, there you go. Big Mouse. Yo, that's a
Big
team.
Mouse.
Big Mouse 9. Oh god. Is that legal? Can they call themselves that? I don't know. But yeah, you know, there's potential for some fun names out there if teams do join forces. So yeah, I look forward to it. I definitely do look forward to it. We'll see what comes around the corner in the WTL qualifiers. Obviously, we're gonna do our best job here at casting as much of it as we can. I do apologize for not casting yesterday. We didn't cast ESL Asia or ESL Americas. I don't know if you could tell, but I was constantly muting myself during the broadcast just because I've been coughing the entire time. I'm still under the weather. So thank you so much, Yaku, for joining me today, for casting and for sharing the load and sharing the burden. Thank you.
Sharing the love.
Oh,
that's what I say. That's sharing the hype.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
In the Duckling Envy show matches, in the PvPs.
Exactly. Oh, good. So,
yeah, glad to be here, is what I say to that.
Thank you, Yak. Thank you. And yeah, I'll be back to top shape in a couple of days, I'm sure. I'm getting there. I'm recovering, and we might take it just a little bit easy when it comes to casting for the next couple of days, but we'll get back on that horse as soon as possible.
As you get reacclimated to the sea level.
Oh yeah.
Down under.
The sea has risen. It's, it takes some getting used to.
Been in the mountains too long, you know?
Exactly. So yeah, we're gonna be heading off. We're gonna be shutting down here for now. So again, thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed the PvP. Thank you so much, Yaku, for joining us as well. And Yaku, if people want more of you, where can they find you?
Drowning in hell, recruitment hell, is what I mean. But I just want to hear back from one. Anyway, yeah, you can find me over at !Discord in the chat, which will bring you to the CranKy Ducklings Discord server. It's, I think, where I'm probably most active nowadays when it comes to being somewhere online. Trying to Discord stream whenever I do ladder, which is a bit more often nowadays. I've just been getting that itch. I do try to, at the very least, Discord stream that. If not, twitch.tv /Yakuzaku1. It's been so long since I plugged myself, I forgot what my links are. But yeah, that's my Twitch channel that you can occasionally find me at. You can tweet at me at @EmporeYakuzaku on Twitter, or now on Blue Sky at justyakuzaku.blue. It's a long thing. Just Yakuzaku at Blue Sky. At me on one of those places if you want me to stream again, and then I'll work something out.
Is that like one of the only times that you've been able to get the handle Yakuzaku without anything else at the end?
Yes, including Discord. I'm forced to put a lowercase y and put a period at the end.
No.
Just to make him a hitch.
So good. At least you do have Blue Sky. At least you have that.
Yes.
But yeah, just follow Yaku. Pressure him to stream or join us on Discord. He has been streaming recently, as he did mention. You can also follow myself, @_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. I'm still sick and under the weather, but I've returned to Australia, and I should soon be back to full-time casting every day, multiple times a day, and also try to stream some ladder as well. Right now, I can't. I have to bed. I have to just get some rest. But again, I'll be as active as I can as soon as I'm ready for it. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, thank you for watching. You can support us on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. You can support us on Patreon. You can support us wherever you feel, or just follow us here on Twitch. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Give them some love, give them some support, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more StarCraft action.
Indeed, we shall. In the meantime, don't get got. Don't get got.
Yeah. Wise words. Ciao.
Bella.